When I need answers about anything to do with personal growth, I go straight to my mom and my aunt. Here they are, Priscilla Babin and Tina Gilliatt with the Sister Sauce.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Sister Sauce. I'm Priscilla Babin, and this is my gorgeous sister Tina Gilliard.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, it's episode 20. Woohoo!
Yay!
Awesome. It's an even number. That's so exciting.
Just wait till 21, then we'll be legal.
Well, we're adults already.
We're very grown up.
Yes, we're very grown up.
Well,
Physically, if not mentally. My son told
I was
me,
going to say, in some ways, we're very grown up.
my son likes to give me a different age than I actually am. And yesterday he's like, 38 sounds like a good number. You can be 38. And then he was like, but you're 12, really? And I'm like, yeah. And so he said, yeah, your mind is 12. I said, yeah, my mind is 12. And, I'm like 80 something, 88 in real life. And if you deduct the 37 or whatever years between 30 or 38, whatever, 36, however many years there is between 12 and 50, it gets added on. I don't know. I had some kind of complicated math that explains my immaturity and my infirmness at the same time.
You're a paradox. Like when you were a little girl, we used to say you were an old soul because you were so thoughtful in everything that you did as a little girl. And now you're living your childhood again.
Yes.
You're redoing your childhood because you screwed it up the first time.
That's correct. Accurate.
Not that you did really, but
I hope everybody is having a good week. We have some fun stuff today.
yeah,
I don't know if I should say what this week is. Should I say it now?
you can say it.
This week we're celebrating Women's History Month. And so we've got some stuff related to that for all of our topics today, our hot sauce and our meat sauce and our marinade
Marinade.
are all women's history related. So
Yes.
we're going to do that. So Tina, what do you got for hot sauce today?
Yeah, and I wanted to point out to you that a week from, well, next Friday, we are recording on Friday, but next Friday, the 8th of March, is International Women's Day. So March is like all about celebrating women, everything that you can think of, except Women's Health Month, as we learned, was last month, and we didn't realize it. But I have some hot sauce today, and it's about an amazing invention. So we take for granted all the technology that we have today. And so I'm thinking like Wi-Fi and GPS and Bluetooth, all of that is so wonderful, right? It's great technology. But did you know that technology would not be where it was today if it wasn't for the invention of the frequency hopping technology? I had to look at it to make sure I said it was right, said it correctly. Frequency hopping technology that was developed to guide missiles. And that was around World War II, when World War II was happening. So who can you imagine would have developed that technology, that frequency hopping technology? Why, it was none other than a woman. And it was a famous woman to boot. It was Hedy Lamarr, who you may have heard of as a beautiful film actress. And she was supposedly, a lot of people believe, to be the woman that inspired the character of Snow White. But she was also a longtime inventor, and she liked to tinker and innovate. And she teamed up with a partner. And when World War II came around, she and her partner developed that frequency hopping technology. And that eventually paved the way for wireless communication, such as GPS and Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. How
That's
cool is
so
that?
cool.
Way to go, Hattie.
Whoop, whoop. Yay, Hetty.
I love it.
Yay for Hetty. There's a lot of people who are women who are celebrities who dabble in a lot of other things. And one of the things, y'all, that we discovered when we were trying to decide what to talk about today and who to talk about today, it used to be you really had to scrounge to find women in different professions and women who did different things. And now, but besides the fact that we are more connected to information than we ever have been before, more, women have been making strides in more areas than ever before. So there are so many really impressive women to choose from. But so we had to kind of really pare down our list, but we don't want to insult anybody who's not on the list. There's a lot of women out there who we could have mentioned who you'd be like, wow, but we'd be here all day,
Yeah,
all year, all
exactly.
month at least.
There
Trying to,
was honestly, there were plenty that I felt like were obvious. And so our listeners might say, oh, I can't believe they didn't think of her. She's so obvious. Well, we have a few obvious people on our list, but we elected to share more about people who are not so obvious, right? Because why share information people already know and have already
exactly.
heard a million
Mhm.
times? We're going to share some that are not so obvious. And I'll give you credit, Priscilla, for the way we sort of categorized and came up with the idea. And you did a lot of the research, and I thank you for that.
Oh,
And I'm
you keep me on
excited because
track.
I was so overwhelmed. I went to so many different lists and so many wonderfully inspiring women. But that is our meat sauce for today. We'll share that with you guys. You want to kick the I was getting ready to say kick the ball. Kick you want to kick it off, Priscilla, with
Sure.
some historical women?
Sure. I'm gonna list for y'all. How about I do the first five, Tina?
That sounds good. We can
Okay.
alternate.
So here we're gonna we have so many to share, and we know we can really get verbose, to use a
No,
fancy word.
we're a little
Um,
loquacious, but
Loquacious. I like that word.
little
Loquacious.
loquacious. Yeah.
So we're trying to keep it tight. So we've got little short notes about people. So if you want to know more about these people, you can Google them. You can be a woman or a man or a person who Googles, and you can go use your Googles to your heart's content. But
Oh, and there's
um
so much information out there.
oh yeah.
So
Oh, just if you just go and Google current influential women, I mean, you could go one city or country at a time and find a bunch. It's just crazy. But we were trying to, you know, ruminate on the women historically who really stood out to us. So here are some of them. Of course, I went way back and decided to go into the Bible. My favorite Bible character is Esther, basically because of her courage, because she was brave and she saved her people, because God brought her to where she was for such a time as this. And it was very scary. She could have been killed, but she decided to do what needed to be done, and she had to be careful about it, but she got it done. She got things done. So Esther is one of the first people in history to get it done. So go Esther. Whoop whoop.
yeah, love it.
And yeah, love Esther. Another one is Harriet Tubman. Saved over 70 slaves on the Underground Railroad. Like, you can't go without mentioning Harriet. Rosa Parks, who followed in
Mhm.
her footsteps, standing up to racism and
Yeah.
oppression. Just like Esther, just like Harriet, being brave, using a tremendous amount of courage to do what she did. Maya Angelou, who was also a civil rights activist, but a really inspiring writer. and had a pioneering autobiographical style. Oh, that's a mouthful. Autobiographical. And you know, and taught people through sharing her experience, and just really, I mean, entertaining as well. And another one that I found was Ada Lovelace, who was the founder of scientific computing and the first computer programmer. So just like with Hetty, we got to remember, you know, a lot of people automatically think STEM is a dude thing, but it's an everybody thing, and women can be scientific.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And
I
technology.
read a lot about Ada Lovelace too when I was going through my list. We also have Emmeline Pankhurst, who, if you're a fan of Mary Poppins, you probably remember the Sister Suffragette song where they refer to Mrs. Pankhurst, and she was the founding member of the suffragettes. Then there's Nellie Bly. She was a journalist who refused to write the typical feminine fluff pieces that you would normally see from women during that time. Marie Curie, Madame Curie, first woman to win a Nobel Prize in science and the only woman to win two. I'm assuming that's still a current stat. The only woman to win two Nobel Peace Prizes. That's amazing. Then there was Mary Jackson, Katherine Johnson, and Dorothy Vaughan, who were especially prominent with computers. Their work helped one of the first American astronauts, John Glenn, orbit Earth in 1962 and ensured the safety of the mission. So some more women with computer genius. I love it.
Math. Women can math.
Yes. Well, I'm good at math, but I'm also very thankful I don't have to use a lot of math now with computing. It just kind of works behind the scenes for me, all the ones and the zeros. I said something to Olivia about back when there were ones and zeros, and she laughed and she said, "Mom, there's still ones and zeros. You just don't know about them."
It's true. It's all hidden up inside the insides of the plastic things and the metal things.
Yes, yes.
Well, we've got some current women who are doing wonderful work and amazing things. So we've got a dozen of them.
We can just alternate if you want.
Yeah, let's just switch back and forth. The first one who was obvious to us, and it might be obvious to y'all, but maybe some people haven't heard of her, is Malala Yousafzai. And she won a Nobel Peace Prize when she was only 17 years old. I mean,
I think that was the youngest for anybody to ever win it. Yeah.
Yeah, and for her work as a human rights advocate for the education of women and children. And she is still very active in all of her work, and it extends, you know, she does a little bit more than just what that says, obviously.
Yeah.
But that's so super important, and she's amazing. All of these current women, I want to say a lot of them have a social media presence, and it's awesome to follow them. So check them out too.
Yeah. Malala, she started out her work in the Pakistan, but I think she's pretty much international now with everything she does. So impressive. And then there's Sarah Mordini, who is a Syrian former competition swimmer, lifeguard, and human rights advocate. And she took part in search and rescue missions that saved refugees making the cross from Turkey to Greece. That was impressive.
And like our historical ladies, y'all, you're gonna see that these current ladies, what they do takes an incredible amount of courage too. Some of them like literally life and death situations, and some of them just being brave enough to stand up to, you know, politicians and things like that, but or say what they think, because even just saying what you think on social media is very intimidating. you put yourself out there for trolls and for, other people who may be in the same, line of field or thought or whatever, who might criticize you. And taking criticism is difficult even on a basic level. So I think when they, putting yourself out there, even just as a public person, is hard, but some of these ladies literally put their life on the line.
Oh yeah. Well, we just talked about Malala, and she got shot.
Mm.
And there's a whole. I wanted to make sure I was remembering that correctly, so I just Googled it. But yeah, she actually got shot when she was young, and didn't let it stop her. Just kept on going. Amazing.
Mm.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
I
Our
don't know.
next one.
I like to think I'm brave and bold, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm that good.
Yeah, I know. I know what you mean. Nadia Murad is a powerful advocate for women in conflict settings and survivors of sexual violence. She was awarded the 2018 Nobel Peace Prize and founded Nadia's Initiative, which is an organization dedicated to advocacy and assistance for victims of genocide. And without going too much, over into other stuff she's done, her work is way more widespread than just that, and her backstory is a lot more, deeper than that too. She was victimized, and that's what led to her being an advocate. So you a lot of these people have really bad experiences too that lead to these very brave actions. So that's important to remember too, I think.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Nadia Murad is the one you just did. Omira, after surviving gender-based violence and being displaced twice, Omira became a women's protection and empowerment advocate in Colombia. I love that we have this international presence of women all over the world that are standing up for their rights. She listens to survivors and identifies ways to help. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. And then there's Mia Yamamoto, who is a transgender advocate. She represents transgender people in civil rights cases and is an activist striving to put an end to racial, religious, and sexual conflicts in Los Angeles and in the general area of Los Angeles. She's transgender too. The way I said it before made it sound like she's just an advocate for transgender people, but she is transgender. And transgender women are women, y'all. If you don't agree with that, I have some suggested reading that I could give you, but just trust me on that. The work she does is uplifting the lives of those who suffer from discrimination, which is so important because, y'all, on a base level, you can debate gender identity all you want, but people are people. People are humans. It's humans' rights, not women's rights, men's rights. Those things are important too, but every person deserves to have access to health care, to have, a place to live, whether, and of course, yes, I agree, people should, work if they can and all of that stuff. That's goes without saying. But anything that you think is your basic human right is every other basic human rights. So I don't think we can argue that. Humans
Nope.
are humans.
Amen.
So don't dehumanize people because you don't agree with them. Lord have mercy. Sorry, went on a
Don't get her
tangent.
started.
Yeah, don't get me started. I'm fired up.
Actually, let's get her started. I love fired up Priscilla. Okay, number 6 on our list is Daphne Frias, who is a 23-year-old Latina youth activist, and she has cerebral palsy. Daphne uses a wheelchair and is a vocal champion for the disability community and is also engaged in several issues affecting young people, such as gun violence, climate change, and voter turnout, to name a few. But much more than just that,
Oh, yeah.
and very inspirational young woman.
My goodness. I mean, we could spend a whole episode just talking about each one of these people. This stuff about them. Google these folks, y'all. If it sounds interesting to you, go Google them, please, because
Well, you know
they
something,
deserve.
one of the things that has always intrigued me about growth, and this is kind of off topic, but it relates. For instance, I enjoyed that when I was teaching Sunday school, it forced me to learn about things. When I was preparing for my Sunday school lesson, I learned things that I might not have learned otherwise. Toastmasters has done the same for me. I've had to research topics in order to give presentations, and I've learned a lot. And it's one of the things that I enjoy about this podcast is that you and I end up doing a lot of research to prepare for recording, and we learn things. And this week was especially true. We learned so much about these women, some of whom we had never heard of or had only vaguely known who they were. And now we know so much about not just the ones we're going to talk about, but others that we couldn't possibly mention them all. But anyway, that's just a side note. I loved learning about these women, especially the young ones. That was really inspiring for me.
Yeah, I didn't know so many brave and influential young women were out there. And so it's really interesting. There's so many more than we could include today. It's just crazy. So y'all gotta definitely check out these gals plus the others that are out there, because it's really awesome.
Yeah, for sure. The next one on our list is Amanda Wynn. She founded an organization called RISE that helps empower sexual assault survivors with civil rights. Wynn penned her own civil rights law and unanimously passed the Sexual Assault Survivors Bill of Rights. The federal law served as a model for 15 other laws protecting sexual violence survivors in the U.S. Following the passing of the law, she founded RISE, a nonprofit social movement accelerator that trains grassroots organizations to pen their own civil rights laws. And with her help, 33 laws have been passed. She was awarded Marie Claire's Young Women's Honors in 2016 and was named she was named on the Forbes 30 Under 30 list in 2017. She was appointed by President Obama to the U.S. Department of State as his deputy White House liaison. And in 2008, she was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. So awesome.
That is awesome. We missed one.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. And I
how did we do that?
I don't know, because we were talking about other stuff. God help me if I don't know how to. I should have looked up the pronunciation of this one, because I knew I should have known I was going to struggle. But for some reason, I thought it looked obvious last night when I was going over stuff. I think it's pronounced, and y'all don't torture me, don't kill me if I'm wrong, but Zeynep Tufekci. I'm probably close if I'm not right, but anyways, her work focuses on the social implications of new technologies such as artificial intelligence and big data, which is a real hot topic right now.
Oh, yeah.
She is one of the most prominent academic voices on social media and frequently discusses identity, society, protest, and technology. So she's one to follow. She's really cool.
That's awesome. You're not kidding that AI is really a hot topic right now.
Mm-hmm.
So the next one on our list is Fran Drescher. Fran is an American actress, comedian. Everybody knows her for the last 30 years or so as the nanny. Love the way she talks. Just love her voice. But She has also been in the news a lot recently because she is the current president of the Screen Actors Guild and the American Federation of Television and Radio Artists. So that's SAG-AFTRA. And she was instrumental in leading the strike and then negotiating the outcome. And if you understand what's happening in the world right now with television and media, these people do movies, and then those movies end up getting streamed on platforms that are not well managed, and these actors and actresses, and not just them, but everybody else who had any part in making those movies, is not getting the due that they deserve. And she was very outspoken about that in the negotiations. And because of her, those negotiations went well, and the members of the guild were satisfied. And I was really impressed with her. And she was so eloquent and was able to really get her point across, and not in a weak way. She was very emphatic and just very impressive speaker.
Yep. And of course, we all remember her from The Nanny. And her character on there was lovable, but a little goofy. But in real life, she is a very smart woman.
The powerhouse, yeah.
I had to laugh a little, though, when you said The Nanny, because all I could hear in my mind was from You've Got Mail. When
I know, Tom Hanks.
The Nanny.
I thought that when I said it, The Nanny.
We are too
ironic.
Okay. We quote
totally
movies so much.
There. That was a great line from that movie.
Yeah, it really, that's, can you tell?
Okay, so if you haven't already done so, go watch You've Got Mail.
Yeah, go watch You've Got Mail.
We talked about it last week in our favorite movie list.
It really is our favorite, one of our favorites anyway.
For sure.
The next gal on our list is Dylan Mulvaney.
Oh, I love Dylan.
Dylan is such a sweetheart. She is a trans woman. We have another trans woman on here, y'all. And boy, has she had a rough go on the social media. It's hard enough being a woman, being a trans woman. A lot of people want to argue about, a trans woman's credibility as a female, or their, being able to be their acceptance as a female. It's hard enough to be just a regular, person who is born female and deal with a lot of the stuff that women have had to deal with. I mean, things are so much better today than they were 100 years ago, but to actively choose to be a trans female, I mean, you don't choose to be a trans female, but going through the process and identifying yourself publicly as a trans female is really brave, because putting themselves out there, like I said, with any of these things for public scrutiny, people's opinions and stuff, it can even become physically dangerous at times.
Oh, for
Violence
sure.
against trans women is higher than for a lot of other types of groups of people. And it's very brave, to be, a social media personality and allow people to have their say at you and about you. And I feel like for somebody to willingly let themselves be seen, in their true identity as a trans female is so brave. I don't know why, anybody would just choose that. Like, I feel like I'm going to do this. That's one of the main reasons. You can tell it's not their choice. It's how they were born. It has to do with hormones and the brain chemicals and their spirit, so Okay, sorry,
It's
went off on
gender
another tangent.
dysphoria. It's, it's a thing. And I don't remember who it was, but somebody had spoken out about the abuse that transgender women go through. And I'm not going to be able to give them credit for it because I don't remember who it was, but I want to say it was on one of the award shows. And one of the things the person said was um, they were happy with all the advances for women in the industry or whatever. And then they went on to say, oh, and while I'm on the subject, um, of all the struggles that women go through, why would any person in their right mind become a woman if it wasn't part of who they already were?
Right.
Because why would you want to become a woman, in other words? And I thought it was so poignant. And it's so true. And as you said,
Yes.
so many of the transgender community have suffered at the hands of violence and hate. And it's just terrible. It is absolutely terrible. But go on, share some about Dylan. I absolutely love Dylan.
The thing about Dylan, and if you don't know anything about Dylan or you've heard some stuff and you're skeptical or whatever, go back and start at the beginning. You have to scroll a lot, but go to her TikTok and go all the way to the beginning. She shares everything about her transition and one day at a time.
Yeah.
And I think she posts at least every day.
Yep.
Not sure. I do follow her, but I'm not as much on the TikTok as I was for a while.
On the TikTok.
I am a very mature person. Wait,
You're
that's the wrong word. I'm very grown up. I'm very grown up. So I say the TikTok and the Facebook.
The TikTok and the Facebook.
But her TikTok, she details everything, good and bad, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the beautiful. And so seeing that, I feel, will help you to understand her, but and maybe all trans people. But she has all you have to do is read the comments on her videos to see that a lot of her followers have given her credit with saving their lives. She's got a lot of people who will comment really bad things too, but her good followers will take them down appropriately. But
we defend our
yes.
Dylan. Yeah.
Yes. But whether somebody's trans, she says, whether somebody's trans or not, I just hope they can watch my videos and feel inspired to unlock a new part of themselves. Mulvaney, who was named a 2023 Forbes top creator and ranked as an estimated $2 million in earnings last year, found herself at the center of an unexpected political crossfire after the Bud Light ads where they paid her to post a video featuring a custom beer with her face on the can. And that sparked a big boycott of the brand, which is so pathetic and sad.
It is pathetic and sad. And the posts that people were doing where they were encouraging other people to give up on Bud Light, it just enraged me because I thought, because you don't support this particular thing, you're going to eliminate a product, you're going to cancel a product, and a company who is trying to do the right thing and include everyone. And inclusivity is what we need in this world. We need to stop canceling people and condemning people and groups of people, especially. Oh my goodness. Come on, people. I just adore Dylan, and what she went through after that whole Bud Light thing was just heartbreaking. I was telling you last night, I watched the whole little interview between her and Drew Barrymore. I love Drew Barrymore too, because she has the most pure heart and she loves everyone. And when she really listens to the people who come on her show. And Dylan was explaining, she said, for you, Drew, you don't expect anyone to just start hating you because you're Drew Barrymore, and because you are an actress. And she said, that's what I feel like's happening with me sometimes, is that I'm not wording it the same way she did, but she said, that's what I feel like is happening. People just hate me because of who I am. And Drew said, something like, you might think that I can't relate to that, but I can. And then Drew gets out of her chair and on the floor and crawls over to Dylan and holds her hands and is talking to her so sweetly. And Dylan gets out of her chair and gets on the floor, and the two of them. And then all of a sudden, Dylan gets this look on her face like, oh my God. And she looks at the audience and she said, I just realized I'm on the floor with Drew Barrymore.
I would
And
love
it
to
was
be
just
on
so
the floor with
adorable.
Drew.
Such a cute little interview, but it is so true. And I don't want to belabor the point, but that I think I shared on my Facebook about the lady that accepted the award for the organization that helps TV shows and movies become more LGBTQIA friendly and make sure they're using the right terms and everything. And they were given a special award at, I believe it was the Golden Globes, but I might be wrong. And in her acceptance speech, the lady said something that really struck me. And she said that more people, I forget what example she used, but it was basically more people have experienced this, which is something that you would think was really uncommon, than have actually met a transgender person. And whatever it was that she was using as an example, it was like you would think that was really rare, but more of that has happened than people have met a transgender person. And I thought, oh my gosh, that is so true. People judge before they know. And so don't judge until you know the person. You should judge. I don't think you should judge people unless you really know them, but you certainly shouldn't judge them based on any one thing about them that you don't know their entire being and their heart. And okay, moving on. Shonda Rhimes. Now, I don't know about you, but I didn't know a lot about Shonda Rhimes until I researched her. I kept seeing her popping up in the lists. And she is an American screenwriter, producer, and author. She's best known for creating and producing some of the most popular, groundbreaking television of the past 2 decades, including, but not limited to, Grey's Anatomy, Scandal, and How to Get Away with Murder. And then there's lots of others. Just amazing. And she is the founder and creative force behind the production company called Shondaland. I love that. She has also been very outspoken in her advocacy for women in diversity and entertainment, using her platform to raise awareness and promote change. She has been nominated 5 times for a Primetime Emmy Award. She won a Golden Globe, and she received special honors at the British Academy Television Awards and International Emmy Awards. And in 2017, she was inducted as Chair's appointee of the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences Executive Committee. So go Shonda.
Go Shonda. You know, Shonda is the one who produces one of my favorite shows, Bridgerton.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And Bridgerton is a streaming show, so you'd have to have I think it's on Netflix. Oh, geez. Y'all don't hate on me if I say the wrong streaming platform.
It's on one of those streaming platforms. Just look it up. Yeah. Where can I watch Bridgerton?
Fairly certain it's Netflix, but there was Bridgerton and which is still being produced, and then also Queen Charlotte, which was a little mini series that was sort of a between the seasons, or a prequel, I guess. It was kind of a long timeline for that one, so that one's different, but really entertaining show. The first season is especially spicy, I'm gonna say. it seems to have gotten progressively less spicy, so it's a little easier to watch for me because some of the scenes are just like, oh my goodness, I don't need to see all that. But but it's really good. It's really good. And here's something crazy to do with that. And I don't know if she gets any credit or, any kind of uh royalties or anything from it. Royalties, that's so funny because it's about the queen and stuff. Anyway,
Uh-huh.
I was in Walmart, who does not sponsor us. I was in Walmart like a month ago-ish and went to get some coffee creamer. And I was actually looking for the oat milk creamer that Clover likes because that dairy is not good for her body. And I couldn't find the one that I was looking for. And I was like scanning all the coffee creamers. And if you and also International Delights does not sponsor us, but if you're familiar with their brand, I have they have a lot of different flavors, but I like realized I'm like, what are these flavors? This pink one, and there's a green one and a brown one. Are these new? And so I had to like get up close and stick my face in the cooler so I could see what was on them. They are Bridgerton themed creamers. One of them is like something pistachio, and one is berries and cream. And there's another one that is something English toffee, I think, or something. And I got so excited, and I had so many creamers already at home, the International Delight ones that are the other flavors that are, that have dairy in them or whatever. And actually not all of those some of them are dairy free, but or lactose free anyway. But I had so many creamers at home already on my side of the fridge that I couldn't justify buying them at the time. And I finally made some space. And this week I got the berries and cream, and I want to tell y'all it is very delicious. Well, if
I
you
was
want to
going to say,
Bridgerton and drink Bridgerton themed coffee creamer, you can
okay,
have it.
so while you were talking about that, I looked it up, and Bridgerton is a Netflix official
Cool.
uh, series, excuse me. And also, it is available on Hulu.
Oh, that's new. Okay, cool. Sweet. All right. Our last gal on our list is Melinda Gates, wife of Bill Gates. And to be honest, I don't know. I did not know a ton about Melinda Gates. I know, a little bit, but she co-founded and co-chaired the Gates Foundation, of course, with her ex-husband. I guess they're divorced now.
Yes.
And Melinda has also led the organization to become the world's wealthiest charitable foundation that gives money to various projects to improve global poverty, inequality, and global health. Melinda has consistently worked to empower women and girls by supporting initiatives that address gender-based disparities in education, health, and economic opportunities. So go, Melinda.
Yeah.
That's
I
awesome.
tell you what, their foundation has just been incredible with
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people just automatically hate rich people.
Mm,
But when you have good ones that are willing to take their money and use it for good and not for evil,
yeah.
I really approve of that. I
Breath of
approve
fresh
this
air.
message.
Yes. We know enough people who have a lot of money and do the wrong stuff with it.
Oh, yeah.
No comment,
Not
Northern.
anybody in our family because we're all poor, but
Yeah, really.
well, that was good. I love it.
Ah,
Hopefully, we
yeah,
kept it brief.
yeah. That's a great list of gals, though. You guys got to go check. Maybe you don't like the word gals, women, ladies. I don't
Yep.
know.
I love it. I love it. Lots more. Lots
Yeah,
more
there's
women
so
out
many.
there.
There's so many
There's-
more that y'all can find.
and like we said, so many of the obvious ones that we didn't include because they were obvious and you should already know them, but definitely go check them out. It was fun learning all the information about them. Just
Mhm.
some of the women that were coming up on the list that I knew who they were, I was like, okay, what is she inspiring? What did she do that makes her such an inspired person? And then I would read it and get all excited because this person that I knew and already liked, I found out, oh, I like them even more now.
Yeah, right. That's always fun. I mean, there's so much, and there's an infinite world of knowledge out there, and you don't realize how much you don't know until you Google something.
Oh, so true. Yeah. It's not
Nobody's
everything on the
lazy.
internet is true, but
True.
when you find it in multiple places, it's a little bit of a
Yeah.
confirmation that you're going in the right direction. Well, that
Yeah.
was awesome. Do you have any marinade that we might want to think about as we celebrate National Women's History Month or International Women's Day?
Yeah, my marinade is pretty simple. But it's more or less, something to offer everyone else to marinate on. And we kind of touched on this when we did one of our first episodes was about toxic masculinity. And we talked about, the fact that there is also some toxic oh man. See, now I gotta say
Femininity.
femininity. I feel like Nemo trying to say sea anemone. But anemone. So, but there is also positive, there's negatives and positives to everything, right? But my focus for our marinade is on positive femininity, which, if you want to define that, would be, anything that is working towards the equality of for women in all genders in both civil rights and the workplace, and just getting everybody's needs met, normalizing feminine traits in opposition to toxic masculinity. So, you know, not stigmatizing things that are generally thought of as a female stereotype, like having strong emotions about things, or having feelings in general, right? Or just being a compassionate person, that doesn't necessarily have to just be a feminine thing. But there's so many things that people look at and mark that's a feminine thing, and then they somehow twist it into being negative. And I think a lot of that is why there's not a lot of women in politics, or hasn't been until recent years, is because there was, and I know I heard some of our male family ancestors saying things to the effect of that women are too emotional to be in charge of stuff, or women are too you know sensitive to make big decisions or do hard things, and that's a bunch of BS. So
Well, let me just interject one little thing here. And the women are too emotional thing is relative to crying. Crying is looked at as a weakness. And if you, not as much anymore, but especially among the men, right? And then you also hear songs like Big Girls Don't Cry. And people say, don't be a crybaby. Crying has always been looked at as if you're emotionally stunted or not mature if you cry over something. However, people express emotion in different ways, and emotion is emotion. Men are just as emotional as women are. They just express it differently. Men throw things, they curse, they throw tantrums. And I was in the corporate world for 30 plus years, and I can tell you it happens every day. And I think that any of my employees who have ever worked for me or served for me in volunteer leadership, when I was a volunteer leader, were never as bothered by my crying when I was upset about something as they were about my male counterparts yelling and cursing and slamming doors. So emotion is emotion, and you should, as a leader, try to keep a rein on your emotion. But as long as you are not offending anyone else, I don't think there's anything wrong with expressing your emotion. And I believe that women are better at expressing their emotion than men are. But
Amen.
that is very,
Amen.
that was sexist of me to say. Let's just say that women, the typical women. Okay, I just put my foot in my mouth, but I'll shut up now.
Well, I mean, that's when we talked about toxic masculinity. That's one of the problems is men try to repress their emotions. They suppress them, not express them.
Yeah.
And now I'm getting into another Meg Ryan
And then
movie
they
quote.
explode. Yeah.
Yeah, express, not repress. Healthy person expresses what they're feeling.
And it's not all men, it's just a testosterone thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hormones be powerful.
Oh,
I know that.
for sure.
Amen to that. But you know, it's just like anything, you might hear somebody tell a kid that they hit like a girl or they run like a girl, and it's this negative twist. But I want
That's true.
put a positive twist. Excuse me. Be brave like a girl.
Yeah. And I mean, there are differences between men and women because of, as you just said, hormones and a lot of times body type. Women are more frail than men, but it's not straight across the board, just like everybody is an individual. Trying to dig myself out of the hole I put myself in. I don't mean to offend any men. I have a few men in my life that
exist.
You
have a wonderful husband
and do not always fit those stereotypical attitudes. Oh no, my husband knows better. I smack him. No, I'm kidding. No, my husband is very respectful of women, and I'm thankful for that.
Yeah. We celebrate you, AJ.
Except stop calling the lady at McDonald's baby. I teased him about that. I was with him driving through McDonald's one day, and he says, "Good morning, my love," to the lady at the McDonald's window, and then she gives him the stuff, and I'm not paying attention to what she's saying because I'm like, I cannot believe he just called that lady my love. That was just rude. That was so sexist. And he says, "Thank you, baby," and I'm like, there he goes again, right? And then we're getting ready to drive away, and I'm like, seriously, you shouldn't call people that work in the public and in retail baby and my love. And he said, that is the same lady that waits on me every day. And I just beat her to the point because she usually says to me, "Good morning, my love." And she calls me baby. And I'm like, okay, sorry. And Olivia's in the backseat chiming in. "Yep, it's true, Mom. She does. She calls Dad that all the time."
On that
we
subject,
go to McDonald's every day anymore, but we used to.
I know I have heard some young folks, and I'm gonna call out one of my kids. My oldest, when she was in college or in late in high school, got very aware of gender stereotypes and disparities and things, and being fired up with social justice, noticing all of a sudden, and you got to remember, she lived the first 10 years, almost, well, 9+ years of her life in Florida. And Florida is not, Florida is South, but it's not the South.
Yes.
And I think anybody who has lived or spent enough time in various cities and states across the southern part of the United States knows that there's a lot of variation across there. California is kind of South, but it's not South. You know what I mean? And so real South is Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi. Maybe the panhandle of Florida is south. The rest of it just happens to be in a southward direction, but it's not the south. So, and I think enough people who live in the south can identify with that and understand. If you're from the north, you probably and don't have not been down here. I'm not saying we're stupid or country hicks or anything like that, but things are just different here. And so the whole baby honey sweetie pie thing bothered my daughter a lot because that was not represented as much in Florida as it is here. That was not something that happened as much as it does here in Louisiana. And she decided she didn't like it and that it was a sexist thing and really bothered her for a long time and for a few years. And then I think I witnessed this revelation, this epiphany that, oh, this is not a thing old white men do to young ladies. Everybody does it to everybody. Everybody calls everybody these,
Honey
endearing
baby.
terms, even if they
Yeah.
don't know them. It's an everybody thing here. And so
Especially
it's the
older
norm.
people.
Yes, especially older people do it to younger people more so than the other way around. But even when she was working, in food service, would call people honey, and stuff. And it always respectful. It's never a and it could be a creepy, disrespectful thing in some cases, because you don't know somebody's motivation.
Mhm.
And now, I mean, we have a chance here to really go into philosophy because people's motivation changes,
Yeah.
the meaning of things. But in general, yeah, that those terms of endearment that we fling around here like they're confetti generally don't have a negative
Yeah.
connotation. So a lot
I
of regional things need to be kept in consideration. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important to not be super sensitive to those things when when you're the recipient. But I also think it's important to try to be sensitive to other people's feelings. So it's, it's just something that if all of us would be more sensitive to other people's feelings and all of us would be less sensitive to our own feelings,
Mm,
the world would be a much better place,
mhm.
right? I got in trouble one time for a lady at my office was upset about something that happened, and I was on the senior team, and there were four of us who were all senior managers at the company I was with, and we were in a huddle in the conference room talking about something that happened. And what I understood she was saying was that she was uh, felt she had been offended, and I by something that had happened in the office that wasn't anything uh, sensitive like that. It was just she had been left out of a decision, and I realized that it was just a total miscommunication because she was thinking about what she was talking about. None of us really had come to a consensus on. It was just something that had been thrown out there. But anyway, all of that to say, I put my hand on her shoulder and I said, "Oh, honey, I think we're talking about two different things. I think what you heard us say was about this, and what you're thinking we're talking about is that. And that's two different things." And she knocked my hand off her shoulder and she said, "Do not call me honey. We are professionals in a workplace, and do not condescend to me as if I don't know what I'm talking about." And I felt like I'd been slapped in the face, and I was mortified. I apologized and I said, "I'm so sorry. It's just the mother in me that wants everybody to feel better, and that's not an excuse. I am very sorry." And I apologized over and over again. But um, it didn't really do any good. It didn't land well. But That's the thing. If we would all just be less sensitive of our own feelings and more sensitive of other people's, the world would be a lot better place.
Mm,
That's just my
yeah.
Tina philosophy.
That reminds me of that scene from Ted Lasso, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but there was a situation where somebody found something out that had them in a certain frame of mind, and then somebody said something that triggered them and they reacted really badly. You know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly.
And then their superior was asked to comment on their behavior, and they said, no, I give them all my love because here's this story I know. And it was a story about something similar where somebody had experienced a horrible loss and nobody knew. And he had the superior in question had made a joke that was particularly hurtful to that person, but they didn't know it would be particularly hurtful to that person because they didn't know the circumstances, and that person reacted violently. But then once they found out what was behind their motivation,
Mhm.
what caused
Yeah.
them to react like that, they felt horrible and they understood. So, we've said it before, you don't know what people's experiences are, what frame of mind they're in. So we have to be careful, how we react to their reactions to things, and also as people who we know, we might be having a bad day or whatever. We might need to, watch ourselves. Check yourself before you wreck yourself, right?
Yep. Good advice.
Yeah. Keep your femininity positive.
Well, this has been an exciting episode, our 20th episode, all about women. I love it. I'm down for it. Learned a lot.
You go, girls.
I was looking to see what our next episode is about.
Coming up on Sister Sauce.
Well, I know next week is Barbie Day and Get Over It Day. But I don't know that we came to a consensus about what we're going to talk about it. It won't be about Barbie dolls. But we will. We have lots to share, I am sure. And then St. Patrick's Day is coming up later this month. Oh, I'm excited. Mostly, this is going to sound ridiculous, but I am excited that our March 24th episode will be about spring cleaning.
Oh my goodness. Y'all,
because I have been an organizing freak for the last month and I've been enjoying that.
I know you're going to have a lot to say about that.
Oh, for sure. I've been watching too much organizing TV. Too much.
And then I went and sent you a video yesterday. I don't know if you saw it.
Oh, I must have missed it. I'll have to go look.
It was either a video or a list of products. I forget what it was.
Ooh, I'll have to go check that out. Okay.
I don't even know what I sent to that.
Every day I open a cabinet and say, AJ, look at my latest organizing efforts. And the other night I opened up our Tupperware cabinet and I said, check out my latest organizing efforts. And he's like, uh-oh. And I said, what? And he said, I think I messed it up. And I said, how did you mess it up? And he goes, look down under it. I looked and he had stuck a random bowl in there and just kind of put it anywhere. Didn't put it within the right size category. And,
Yeah, true confession. Clover is kind of little Tina, y'all, and they like to organize the house, and they will do similar things and put things in. And sometimes, most of the time, it is extremely helpful, and we're able to stick to those organizational patterns. But there is one area where I colossally fail, and that is the deli drawer in my refrigerator, which Clover will, and they may have given up on me at this point, but they, for a while, were very persistent about putting all the cheeses on one side, and I don't buy a lot of deli meats. I might have a pack of smoked turkey, but that's, and then maybe a thing of bacon because Joey likes bacon, and then I have, like I keep like my doughs in there, like my Pillsbury rolls and things like that I put those in there. And any extra butter, if I don't have room in the butter, flappy deal in the door.
Floppy
But
deal in the door.
yeah, so but they'd put the cheese in a nice little stack, little envelopes of sliced cheese or whatever. Make sure that the ones with the sooner, expiration are on the top and all like super organized. And I go in there and just, and I just like mix them all up. I don't do it on purpose. It's just, I'm looking for things, and it turns into the cheese junk drawer, which my junk drawer, by the way, is super organized. Thank you very much, Clover. It is, we got these little tiny containers, and they're all lined up and fit perfectly, and there's this gap that's just the right size for the little click lighters.
Oh yeah.
It's awesome. I
Well,
know what everything is.
That's one of the things we can talk about on the 24th. The episode for the 24th is where to get the product from and all. But I don't want to give too much away yet. But I have some links that we can share with that. But for today's episode, I'll go ahead and put some of the links from our research in the show notes, and got a lot to look forward to in March, including Easter at the end of the month. But until we see you guys again, make yourself a priority.
And take care of you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us. Make sure you subscribe to keep up on all the latest sauce. See you next time.